6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. We begin today in Venezuela, where the U.S. has provided over $310 million in aid following the recent earthquakes. The assistance focuses on humanitarian relief, including support for food, shelter, and health services for affected Venezuelans. Aid distribution is coordinated with international partners to maximize effectiveness and ensure it reaches those most in need. From Reuters, quote, "Our support is focused on providing food, shelter, and vital health services to those in the greatest need. The aid, coordinated with international partners and local organizations, aims to help vulnerable communities recover and rebuild after the disaster, which left thousands homeless and in urgent need of assistance," end quote. Next, we travel across the world to Egypt, where their annual urban consumer inflation rate for June is projected to rise to 15.1%, up from May when it was 14.4%, according to a Reuters poll of economists. The increase reflects persistent price pressures stemming from last year's currency devaluation and ongoing subsidy reforms. The government and central bank continue working to stabilize prices amid broader economic reforms tied to international support programs. From Reuters, quote, "Annual urban consumer inflation rose to a record high of 38% in September 2023 after the Egyptian pound was sharply devalued. Fuel and other prices driven upwards by phased elimination of subsidies, and the central bank allowed the local currency to depreciate as part of a International Monetary Fund support program," end quote. Next, we travel across the world, to Cuba, where massive power outages left the country in darkness after nationwide grid collapses, and they are impacting daily life and halting public services across the island. Authorities struggled to restore electricity with only gradual region-by-region progress, amid technical difficulties and fuel shortages. Many Colombians have expressed frustration over recurring outages and the government's slow response. The crisis highlights long-standing challenges in Cuba's aging energy system and the country's broader economic difficulties. From Reuters, quote, "Cuba's entire electricity grid collapsed late on Sunday, plunging the island nation into darkness in the biggest blackout since Hurricane Ian toppled the grid in 2022. By Monday night, authorities had restored power to some regions, but officials warned it could take days to bring the entire grid back online." Quote, "Across cities and villages, residents gathered in the streets, fanning themselves in the summer heat as they waited for the lights to return. The government blamed the outage on a fault at a major thermoelectric plant, compounding problems from years of underinvestment, fuel shortages, and USA sanctions," end quote. Next, we travel to Asia, where a deadly prison riot in Sri Lanka was caused by drug smuggling within the facility. The violent incident resulted in multiple deaths and injuries among both inmates and security personnel. Authorities have brought the situation under control and are planning to implement strengthened security measures to prevent future riots and illegal activities within the prison. From Reuters, trafficking of drugs inside the prison premises was the cause for the incident, the minister told Reuters, adding that the measures would be strengthened to prevent such occurrences in the future, end quote. Next, we travel south to Australia, where at Sydney Harbour Bridge early Sunday, a painted large white cartoon bird was on one of its towers. The incident led to the closure of several lanes and disrupted commuter rail services as police responded. Authorities have launched an investigation to determine how the individual evaded security measures and accessed such a prominent landmark. Quote from Reuters, quote, "The graffiti depicted a white cartoon bird with a yellow beak quickly drew attention on social media and reignited discussion about security on critical infrastructure," end quote. And lastly, we end today in Europe, where a Ukrainian woman suspected in a recent car bombing in Monaco's luxury district was found dead in a wooded area near Kiev. Quote, "The incident raises concerns about cross-border organized crime extending from Western Europe into Ukraine." From Reuters, quote, "The body of the woman who had gunshot wounds was found in a forest near the village of Shyok, outside Kiev." Excuse me. The Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty quoted the Ukrainian police as saying in a statement, quote, police were looking into whether her killing was related to wider criminal activities in Monaco, end quote. And of course, if you want to read any of today's articles, you can find them linked in the description below that like and subscribe button. Also down there, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Podcast, Podvine, as well as the Twitter handle at Your Daily Flip, where we post links to these episodes when they come out. So with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die,